workers' rights and the right to organize in a union have been fought for. Nobody gave workers anything. They earned every one of their stripes, and so much so that many of them lost their lives in that struggle. Without a fight, without a battle, we lose.
My name's Steve Grumbine, and I am brought to you with Taft Mangus and Tim Luce Wireman. These guys are in the union and Lima working with a refinery and the capital management company that is literally taking this revenue source for the community. It's like 1 million man hours are being shipped out and off, put out to non-union work outside of the Lima community. This is like a typical race to the bottom Rust Belt story, where once again, capital has decided that it's going to squash the little man, squash unions, and destroy their opportunity to survive. I'm a 14-year member of this Labor Local 329 here in Lima. It's good work. It's family-sustaining wages and benefits. I look forward to retiring here in 20 years or so with a nice pension. But that's currently in jeopardy with this refinery's cruel decision to bring in these workers from out of state. They're in pre-shutdown right now. The shutdown will actually start the first week of September. And when that goes, the plant comes all the way down, comes offline, and they go like hell until they're all the way done. So anywhere from 6 to 10 weeks, like you're saying, 1.7 million man hours. That'll be $70 million for lost wages and benefits to the Lima community. Let me bring this back to the history of this refinery again. I mean, how long has this sort of been a tradition of the area? How long has this particular activity been done, and by the union in particular?
I've been a member of Labor's Local 329 for a bunch of years. I first joined back in 1973. Our local has been here since 1939. So we're not Johnny-come-lately. We've been doing this work. In some cases, some of our members have actually been performing work at the refinery for 5 generations. My own family has done it for 4. So we have just a phenomenal dedication on the part of workers to this particular facility. And, people have no idea what that really means unless you're on the ground with boots on. And what it really means is that when there's a spill, when there's a rupture, when there's a problem, when something fails, when in the middle of the winter in January or February, when it's 10 below zero with winds blowing at 20 or 30 miles an hour, you get the call at 2 in the morning, hey, we need a crew out here to help thaw the lines, or otherwise we're going to have trouble. The laborers and the pipe fitters and the Boilermakers and all of the trades come running. And it's remarkable to me that history of dedication on the part of workers is now being essentially ignored.
This is a standard race to the bottom. United States are fighting one another, led by these major corporations that just treat us like we're disposable. Across the United States, we've seen brutal attacks on unionization. We've seen laws passed to make strike more and more challenging. The statement, an injury to one is an injury to all, I think is very important here.
We estimate conservatively that it'll be about $70 million in wages for our workers. This does not include pension or insurance benefits, but just the raw economic impact is pretty severe. What we know is that those workers from out of state are not going to buy furniture at the local furniture store. They're not going to buy an automobile at the local car dealership. They're going to go back home to their home state, and that's where they're going to spend money that they earned in Ohio.
Let's take the next step here. So when does your the direct actions really commence? I know that you all were working with the police earlier today. I know that you've got some things set up. Tell us about how this escalating process is going to play out and how we might be able to help.
So we're doing the best that we can to spread the message, but ideally, social media is the best way, the easiest way to get that done. We do have a pretty strong social media campaign going right now. We had one post that had over 200,000 engagements, and that was just targeted to our area. You can start by pressuring the county commissioners, the Chamber of Commerce. So we started off with going to community events, spreading our message amongst the people, gathering petition signatures. We're up close to 1,400. Yesterday, we had a town hall meeting with refinery management that they declined to attend. We've done food drives. We've gone to the managers' neighborhoods and gone to their neighbors, not them specifically, but their neighbors, to spread our message there, where we ask for canned goods for the displaced workers. And then a part of that too is making sure that our members do not get the message twisted, that they can see this for what it is, that they can see that this is corporate greed and that we're backed into a corner. So our campaign, as we near the beginning of the shutdown, is just designed to create more and more pressure with the management.
So I guess, guys, let's leave us with a parting thought. What can we tell our audience if you had to, give them a message to go for? What is your parting words?
So I tell everybody, let's make sure we don't displace our sights on what we should be looking for and that's the greed of the company wanting to get cheaper, less expensive workers to come in and do this work that otherwise would be a union scale, a prevailing wage kind of job.
We have a lot of apathy and complacency, and it's just a killer. You're not going to get anything out of your union if you're not involved. Stay involved, stay engaged, pay attention. This will be the first domino to fall. Contractors are already utilized by these other facilities. But once they start, cutting our throats here, it's just going to spread like a cancer.
Join us in our fight and our struggle to keep our jobs relevant and to keep our wages and pay where they should be.
Folks, I just want to say I'm Steve Grumbine with Real Progress in Action. I want to thank Taft for joining us and Tim for joining us. Have a great day, everybody. We're out of here.
All right, we're live, guys. I'm your humble host, Commie John, and with me is my DC journalism partner, Jody Newell.
Hello, everyone. All right. Well, glad to be here. I think, that kind of gave a good explanation of a primer for what's happening in Lima right now. And we are going to be joining people on the ground who are going to be speaking with people who are attending this event to protest against essentially the outsourcing of jobs that need to be within that community. So we're going to be watching out for Sarah on the ground. I'm not sure exactly when they're hopping in, but the event is supposed to start at 4:00. So we'll be watching out for her.
Yep. Yeah, we should be hopping in here momentarily. See, we got some of the gang in the chat. Thanks for joining us, everyone. Let's see here. Well, while we've got a minute, I'm actually going to bring up this petition that these guys have together. I mean, this is nothing new in the world of exploiting workers, but it's good to see that people are getting out there and starting to push back against it.
Yeah. Absolutely. It seems to me there's new, people really starting to regain their appreciation of unions and the protections that they provide. So let's see here. You want to read through that?
Sure. So this is the petition, and this is tell Husky Cenovus Lima Refinery to keep using local labor. And just a quick backstory, I believe it was formerly Husky Refinery, and I think a Canadian company had recently bought it. So that's kind of some of the bone of contention there. You know, as new companies come in, they usually find ways to slash labor, kill benefits, and, you know, increase profits to the executives. Okay, so this is to Andrew Dolan, Executive Vice President, Safety and Operations, Technical Services, and Keith Chiason, Executive VP, Downstream. For its 136 years of operation, the Husky Cenovus Lima Refinery has provided good paying, well-benefited jobs to the local workforce. For the refinery's fall shutdown, against the wishes of the Lima building trades, the mayor of Lima, the Allen County Commissioners, the Shawnee Township trustees, and others, they will be using out-of-state labor. The men and women that work these trades have safely filled the jobs for generations and look forward to the continued service in the future. The community members and their families that have seen them work the long hours necessary and sacrifice family time in order to keep the refinery operating and safe also make up neighborhoods, church pews, and schools. And actually, guys, I think that is our streamer coming in from the ground. So just give me 1 second here.
Yeah, let's.
All right. You are live in studio.
Higher.
Can you hear us down there? Oh, it looks like we can
see, but can't hear yet.
Yeah, they might not be connected. Looks like they're showing some footage of outside the company there, it looks like.
Yep.
So, there we go.
Hello, studio. Are you there?
Yes.
Yep.
Hello.
Okay.
Loud and clear.
We've established connection, and things are just kind of coming together. So we will have Sarah with you here shortly to give you some updates. But you can watch the traffic go by and people honking horns of support here in Lima, Ohio.
That's great.
Heck yeah.
Have you gotten a lot of community support outside the union?
You know, it's jobs. So, you know, people care about that. And this, I'm originally from this area, and this place has been here for a century plus. So it's one of the reasons Lima is even on the map. And so there's a lot of support. People have watched a lot of industry disappear from this county, and now the jobs are just going, and it's just, it's a sad situation. So, yeah, I think there's across the board support. Nobody wants to see local jobs taken away.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we'll keep you posted here, and hopefully have some great comments from local leaders as well as some of the folks here at the refinery as well.
Great. Thank you so much.
Great. Sounds good. Okay.
Yeah. I was just going to say on that note, as far as community support, I know it's talking in the petition against the wishes of, the local officials and things like that. I did find an article, I want to say Lima, I don't know why. Lima Council supports union in dispute with Cenovus. So they've actually passed a resolution in the city council. So it seems like there is, a lot of community support for it. Of course, they're going up against the corporation right now. So,
yes, indeed, and it's this is a fight that's been going on for decades, if not longer. You know, this game for these corporations to try to undermine labor at every turn. You know, the outsourcing, or even now we're seeing a lot of more prevalent. It's even cheaper to have prison labor do a lot of this stuff, any way they can save a couple nickels, they don't care about workers' livelihoods or families or communities. And that's one of the big things when something like this happens. It not only takes that money that the people in the communities would be earning and spending in the local businesses and things, but these companies end up leaving, the areas to find a better tax rate or something, and just leave all these, take all these jobs and leave, destruction in their wake.
Right. Exactly. I mean, if it depends on kind of what are your priorities, right? It shows pretty clearly what your priorities are. So for the corporation, their priority is profit, no matter what. It's profit, profit, profit. You see the city council, even if their interests are not exactly in people's well-being or, whatever, it's still in making sure that their salaries are covered, that those kind of things are covered. That's what's included in, on a state level or on a city level. That's what's included. That's their budget and what they have to work with. And so, they know very clearly the economic fallout of it. And then, of course, right on down to the people in the community, not even necessarily just the union workers, but the people in the community, because they know, how much that contributes, how much their local economy depends on having those jobs there. So, yeah.
Absolutely. That's why it's so important to have, unions and organized labor, that we can, it's like, just a couple people in a company can make these decisions on, thousands of workers. But in order for the workers to have any kind of say so, it's like they have to, go through this, just battery of hoops to jump through to get the union and to get any kind of representation, and then they have to organize everyone, and at the whole time the company is trying to undermine it, because unions and worker organization is bad. Well, like you said in the beginning, in that original video, which came from Steve's interview last week, was none of these things are just given to you. It's not just handed to you. You know what I mean? You have to fight for it. You have to organize, and you have to fight for it. And the other gentleman as well said, you need to stay vigilant. It's key. You really do have to constantly be vigilant and watching out for these kind of things, because they'll take what they can when they can. People aren't there to stand up to it. Absolutely. And just another, glaring example why we need a federally funded job guarantee, so we don't have to pit workers against workers, and like somebody will do it a little bit cheaper because they're a little more desperate, and the employers take advantage of that. And we need to be able to provide everyone with a thriving wage job, not have them dependent on, begging these employers who clearly don't give a shit about, the workers or communities or families. So
And it comes right back full circle. I think it was Paulina who was talking about this with the federal job guarantee about, a human-centered, when you're looking at how you're going to design things or set up a program like that through the government, ideally, it would be people-centered. It would be human-centered. What can we do to make the most for people's well-being in our communities and things like that? And of course, that's the big difference, or I guess that's kind of the line that I'm trying to draw, versus having a corporation who has that much power over people in that community and their livelihoods and their well-being, them making the decision because they're making the decision on behalf of profit. So when you talk about a federal jobs guarantee, the government ideally should be a reflection of what we the people want, especially locally, and things like that, to build up support. But that's what it comes down to is are we people-centered or are we profit-centered? And ideally the government would be people-centered, right?
Absolutely. And it's even more crucial specifically with this industry, because I mean, at some point, and even the people that work in the fossil fuel industries and these extractive, damaging to the environment kind of jobs, it's like at some point, I mean, I would think that, they're looked at like, well, if we go to clean energy, you're just out on the street, tough bananas. But a federal job guarantee could provide that transition to like, clean energy tech or whatever, to where it's not just we got to eliminate all these jobs and it's the workers that are going to suffer from any kind of investment in the environment. And it's crazy to think that, we can't, have a multifaceted package that, helps workers, helps the environment, helps communities. We can do it. It's just adversely against the wishes of capital. And it looks like we have some audio coming in from Ohio.
Yeah, just giving you a closer shot there of what's happening, and we will be talking with the mayor of Dayton. She should be arriving here within the next 40 minutes or so. We're also getting some local of the union leaders involved here. Come down and talk to us shortly, but you can kind of see the start of it is happening, and this corresponds with the plant's kind of 4 o'clock shutdown as far as people rolling out. So that's why we're here at this time. But we'll keep you posted. But appreciate the support.
Excellent.
Awesome.
Cool.
Yeah.
We'll be waiting for you guys. Great. Definitely standing in solidarity with those guys, man.
Let's see. Why don't we finish going through the petition real quick? Since we kind of started that.
There's barely any.
All righty. So I'm going to try to remember where I left off here. Okay. So it says, we deserve better than to be glossed over in favor of out-of-state specialists. Please sign this digital petition and share it with your friends and family. Post the link on all of your social media so we can let the refinery management know that the local workforce is capable to fill these jobs as they always have. Our members have been working there for many generations, Purdue said. We know that plant inside and out, up and down, every pipe, nut and bolt, every electric pipe panel throughout the facility. The Lima Refinery, which has been in operation for 135 years, is under new ownership after Canadian-based Cenovus Energy formerly acquired Husky Energy in January. In the weeks since the acquisition, Purdue and others have tried to persuade Cenovus Energy and Lima Refinery management to hire local contractors for the turnaround. And just for a little quick background, like a maintenance or shutdown turnaround is this just general maintenance they do every year that's like very labor intensive and really generates a lot of extra overtime money for the families and money for the community, I think to the tune of, I don't know, $70 million or something like that. Rather than the roughly 3,000 out-of-state workers who Purdue said will perform maintenance at the refinery for 6 weeks. The Lima Building and Construction Trades, Purdue said, represents 16 trade unions and 2,500 skilled craftsmen in the Lima region alone. We have those resources here, Lima Mayor David Berger said on Thursday, and they're very well trained. And I will grab that link and drop it in the chat for you guys. If you'd like to hop over and sign that, I know our working brothers and sisters would appreciate that.
Yeah, we have this about like the timeline. So it was sold. Oh,
all right. Looks like we've got an interview here.
Go ahead, Sarah.
Hi, good afternoon. I'm here in Lima, Ohio with local 329 business manager, Tim Luce-Wireman. Tim, thanks for taking time out today. Can you tell us a little bit about what's going on?
Yeah, we have a bunch of laborers out here, a bunch of Boilermakers and pipe fitters and ironworkers and you name it. We've got the building trades here with us today in support of the Ohio Jobs for Ohio Workers campaign. We're trying to make sure that the Cenovus Lima Refinery understands that these jobs should go to Ohio workers and not to workers from out of state.
And Tim, what does this mean for the community as a whole? How long has the refinery been here? What does this mean in terms of the community impact?
The impact is huge. The economic impact is amazing. We're talking about a minimum of $70 million in income and lost wages for the local community. We're talking about 1.7 million work hours for our members and other members of the community. The economic impact will be felt for quite some time. And all the money that is going to be earned by these folks that are coming here from other states, they're going to take their money back to their state.
Yeah, you know, when I was here this morning, I noticed there's a lot of plates from Texas, from different states, not Ohio. And, you know, as we develop, you know, as you bring new jobs, it's so what is the goal of today?
the goal is to get the message out to our community and to gain more support to help this company be a better community member. The whole idea is to let them know that we're not going to just allow this to happen like it has happened in other communities. This community, the Lima community in Allen County and surrounding counties, have supported this facility for 135 years, and we've done a great job of doing that through thick and thin. No matter who the owner was, whether it was Standard Oil from back in the olden days to Cenovus now, and the other 10 or 12 owners in between, this community has supported this facility and has been able to guarantee the expertise and the skill and ability to keep it running safely.
Yeah. So how many people have gathered here today? And you said there's people from all over the community. And what is your, at the end of the day, what would you like to see happen? What would you like the result to be from Cenovus?
Well, obviously, we're interested in having Cenovus come to us and say, look, we can make a deal here. We can do something differently than what we've already told us that they're going to do. They told us that this community is going to be locked out of these jobs for the fall shutdown. In the history of the community, in the history of this refinery, that has never happened. So we're asking them to come to the table as a good employer, as a good community member, and talk to us about giving Ohio jobs to Ohio workers.
Thanks so much for your time today, Tim. Best of luck with the rally, and we'll head back to the studio to John and Jody. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Sarah. Thanks, guys. Great job.
Good. Thank you.
All right. So it seems like today is essentially about visibility, letting people in the community know. So it's interesting going through kind of the timeline, so it was sold in January, and the first article that I could find about it was from March 17th, which was when the Lima Building and Construction Trades Council President Rick Perdue confirmed that. And it's interesting the way they put it in this article, because it says Lima Husky Refinery to use non-union construction workers during fall turnaround. And I don't know if they knew at that time or what, but it's also not even local people. So not only is it non-union, but it's also not even people from, it's Texas, right? That's what yeah. So in absolutely zero way is the money going to be going back into that community.
Yeah, absolutely. And Catherine Class, man, super donor, keeping the lights on. Thank you, dear.
Thank you.
Yeah, it really reminds me. Just a little background. I was a union shop steward and member and organizer for 15 years, and this is not new. Yeah, they would do this. They did this at the specific plant I was at, to undermine the union workers and our negotiating power, especially contract time was, they'd set up all these, some housing, and then they'd bus all these migrant workers up from Texas that would take less. And, it would really limit our ability to negotiate, to withhold our labor or to, try to get the things we wanted. This is what, these companies do in this system is it's just about making the numbers at the bottom of that spreadsheet bigger. And It looks like we lost our live feed, but I imagine they'll be back shortly.
Yeah. And I think really the thing about it is, we do have these conversations, of course, about the conditions that we're in, right? But, whatever, the slow boiling water with a frog and all that kind of stuff, this kind of analogy. But I mean, this is what it is. When you put people in economically dire situations, it makes them less and less able to stay afloat if there's a strike or, things like this. And so, things like mutual aid and of course, things like that can help to, to balance that out a little bit. But, you think about it right now, there are a variety of things that are happening around the country with different unions. It's just, and you don't even hear about half of them, so, why I'm happy that we're covering this, trying to get the message out there as much as we possibly can. But my essential point, what I was trying to get to is the fact that, we're kind of in a situation where it makes it harder and harder for us to stand up and fight for our own rights. And, whether you think that's, well, it is, it is intentional no matter what, because it's all about profit. So it doesn't even take into consideration really. Communities.
Right. And I often hear this argument, when we're talking about like healthcare. I mean, all this stuff is intertwined, like having a federal job guarantee or and I guess a competition for the private market for labor or whatever, and having healthcare, it's like a lot of that stuff we're fighting for that, but it's so crucial. And you mentioned mutual aid, which if we're ever going to expect to have any kind of sustained labor stoppage or action, we're going to have some kind of network set up to where people can get the resources they need, because a lot of times these companies can wait us out. And even more so because in our system, which is the most ridiculous crap I've ever heard, our ability to go to the doctor and get medicine for our family is tied to our employment. So we decide we're going to have a labor stoppage and we're going to get together. These companies, they have that card in their pocket to say, well, you're not going to get your kids insulin then.
Yeah.
If you show up to work. Leverage. And it's just so, and that's like when we talk about healthcare and people say, oh, the companies would like that. Oh, and looks like we have our live stream popping back in, guys. Just 1 second. All right. We got our feedback. Cool beans. But yeah, like I was saying, some people say, oh, it'd be a great thing for companies. They'd save money on health insurance. And I think that's true for like small businesses that really don't get any discounts or breaks on health insurance because they have fewer employees.
Right.
These big companies actually do, and they don't want health care. They want to use that as a way to get their workers back to work.
Yeah. Looks like Sarah's.
Yep. We're going live here.
Hi, we're back out here at Lima, and I'm joined with a few members from the community, which are here, and they're here supporting the event. Hey guys, can I take a few minutes of your time just to talk to you? Can you introduce yourself for us, your name and where you're from?
I'm Brandon. I'm from Lima.
And what does this mean to you today, Brandon?
Well, this means a lot. I was born and raised here, so I've seen a lot, heard a lot from this refinery. Like, for example, 2 years ago, they always substituted contractors in and out. Well, there was a non-union contractor they brought in 2 years ago. Well, 2 years ago, that contractor, someone accidentally fell into a knife 18 times on this job. And then accidentally a non-union explosion here. So taking jobs away from Lima workers and skilled trades is not a good thing to me, because that means there could be a lot of catastrophic failures that go on in this plant. And where I was born and raised here, I got all my family here. And it's not even that far from the refinery. It's not even 2 miles away. This could kill all my family and all that.
Yeah, being from the community, you've grown up. I think this plant's been here for 135 years.
136.
136 years. Thank you.
And so it's been all union work.
And so what does this mean to you and to your fellow members and family members to see all these people out here helping to rally around the cause?
It means a real lot, because if we don't have all these coming out here to rally in support of all our work, it means that they're going to get away with anything they want to get away with. And I don't think that's right.
Well, it's impressive. Like I said, the demonstration and for those folks to come out here and support. So we wish you the best of luck. Thanks so much for taking time out with us today. And we'll head back to the studio with John and Jody. Thanks, Brandon.
Yep. Thank you.
That was great. And he makes a good point. When I was doing, trying to read up on this before today. Yeah, I think we're good. I was finding things about that very explosion that he's talking about. So in let me see. I'm assuming this is the one he's talking about. This Husky Energy refinery explosion and fire. Oh, nope, this is a different one. Yeah, if I could find it again, I had a bunch set aside because I wasn't sure what that was all about. So that kind of gives me a little bit more insight as to, how that happened. That's great. Because the ones that I'm finding are also Husky refineries. They're just somewhere else. That's great. Oh, boy. Yeah. That's an interesting thing to note, really, is the idea that what unions do is ensure safety. That's one of the main, for a situation like this where it can do that much damage and has done that much damage in situations where this has happened before. It's literally putting people's lives in danger. I mean, I think taking the jobs out and taking the money out of the economy and things like that puts people's lives in danger, I guess a little more indirectly, but that directly puts people's lives in danger if the safety is not insured.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, again, this is what companies do. They use anything they can. It's kind of like that term unskilled labor or whatever. They always want you to have to prove that you deserve a living wage or whatever. And then they'll undercut jobs and say, well, you guys, we found someone cheaper. They don't care about safety or any of that. They're just, they can save a few nickels. It's a win at the end of the day.
Yeah, see, I always want to flip that on.
We have another interview coming in. Sorry about that.
No, it's good.
Let's see.
Looks like
they're a little choppy.
Hi, I'm joined again here by Rick Perdue from the Lima Building Trades. Rick, why don't you tell us a little bit about the event today and just what your stance is on what's happening here at the refinery?
We're out here today. They're out here to let everybody know that they're not going to go away, that we want our jobs back, that they're not for quite a while, and these, to maybe get and everything going.
So what do you know about Cenovus? What do you know about the company? Have you guys been able to contact them?
I continue to meet with them. We meet on like a monthly basis. We've been taking them around and showing them our apprenticeship schools, showing them all the money that we put into our apprentices on training them on safety. They talk a lot about safety, but anything that they need us to do, we can put that into our programs where it will help them and make them more better.
Yeah, and as I look around, I see folks from all different trades here, from all different backgrounds. And so what does that mean to you and the Lima community to see all these people come out to support?
It's just a lot of unity and a lot of everybody wants to take care of the other person. So,
all right, well, we're wishing you all the best of luck, and I'm going to send it back to the studio with John and Jody from Lima, Ohio.
Thank you.
All right, thanks, Sarah.
Our community.
I want to kind of address too what he was talking about, it not only affecting the people in the unions and things like that, but also other people that you wouldn't necessarily think it does. So in this article, in this Rick Perdue, who she just interviewed, was actually quoted in this article. Of course, it's from the it was posted by the sheet metal workers, Local 24 on their website. So of course it would be, that makes sense, right? But let me just read a little bit of it. The decision by the refinery will not only deprive 3,000 regional building trades members of jobs and income, but it will also hurt others whose jobs support these local men and women who work during the turnaround, including students in trade schools. And the Lima building trades jurisdiction work has been slow between tradesmen and tradeswomen not working due to COVID-19 or for lack of work. The fall turnaround was seen as a way to help refurbish unemployment. So these are the things that are funded through this, so you can kind of see how, this connection is being drawn and really made clear in this situation, especially after what we all just went through with COVID and people not being able to work. Things like that. This really It's really necessary. And another thing I wanted to talk about, we talk about this race to the bottom, and it's almost like, this idea of hiring non-union people to come in and do these jobs, and then it pits people against each other. I mean, it's a tale as old as time, at least as our country and things like that, bringing in the scabs, and then it pits people against each other. Of course, this was used in different racial ways and things like that, over time, throughout our history. And it's kind of interesting in this context. I want to get your thoughts on it. Is that, they're bringing in people from Texas, and it's like these people in Texas are also, like Americans who we want to have jobs and that kind of thing. And so in this situation, it does kind of, it pits states against one another. I don't know.
Absolutely. No. And yeah, that's how they, I mean, when you have a system that it creates this this narrative of scarcity, there's not enough housing, there's not enough food, there's not enough money to go around, and the individualism, and I've got to get mine, and that other guy is, it's like, we're in survival mode. And when, that the capitalist or the employer says, well, this guy will take, a couple nickels less than you will, so I'm going to go with him.
Right.
It's like, it should be these workers come together and say, I don't think so. I think we're going to take 3 nickels extra or whatever. But instead it's just this, this race for survival, and everybody's, just on their own trying to, not starve, make sure their family gets fed. And, and the employers love it. They keep a nice stockpile of unemployed folks. So, labor doesn't get organized, and they don't really ever have the true power that we really have in this agreement.
Yeah. Absolutely. Oh, She Who Loves Life says, how much is their profit? I mean, really, I'm curious. I mean, what are the numbers on it? Millions off the back of slave wages.
TV broad.
We're back. There we go.
Remember the buildings trade. Please introduce yourself.
Yes, I'm Mike Schulte. I'm a business rep with the Indiana, Kentucky, Ohio Regional Council of Carpenters. And we're just here today in solidarity to try to fight for our jobs. We've had members in here for decades, working and maintaining this facility, building all new units, and everything has been good. And now they want to bring all the workforce up from the Gulf of Mexico. Now we have all these members out of work who spend their money in the community, and that's why we're here fighting, because we want local workers taking local jobs.
What is their reasoning? What is Cenovus's reason for making the change, and instead of employing local workers, bringing folks from out of state?
We've heard everything from, this is the best contractor for what they're doing, specialized contractors, which our safety record and the experience that we have. I mean, some of the trades know every bolt in this facility, from pulling channel heads to, they know it inside and out. They've worked here for 20, 30 years, some of them even longer.
Yeah, with the 20, 30 years, I talked to one of the members who said this refinery's been here for 136 years. And so that means generational jobs. Are there members you have whose family members have worked here for generations?
Yes, we've had grandfathers in, sons, daughters, 3 generations working in the same facility, at one time. So yeah, the trades are definitely a family thing, it's just passed down from generations, and same thing as coming in here and working these facilities. It's in our blood.
What's the significance of today? What do you feel will be accomplished with the message that you're sending today?
We understand that, the contracts are written for this shutdown. We just want to make the community aware of to support the fire.
Bear with us, gang. We're having a little technical difficulty on the ground. Bad internet signal, it looks like. And while we wait to get signal back down there, to answer your question, Sarah, the reason they do that is for money. That's right. Profit.
Yep.
That's the reason.
Yep. Well, Yeah, I don't want to, you know, I kind of want to leave space for her to hop back in, but I thought it was interesting. I found an article that was a guest columnist on behalf of the, you know, on behalf of the company, giving his perspective, and it's very interesting. I want to read through it just for kicks, because, you know, Sarah says, you know, what reasons have they given, and to see this, you know, to see this article, it's just it's not it's completely it's minimizing the impact, of course, you know. I mean, of course they're going to do that. It's just interesting to kind of watch propaganda in action, you know. But that's too bad, because I'm really enjoying these interviews. I hope that we can get the connection back and hold out for a little bit.
Yeah, and I'm sure, as you and I can both attest to, when we get into these events with, you know, 1,000 people using their internet, the signal is not the strongest and a little choppy.
Yeah.
Choppiness here and there. But I hope they get it together and we will fill the gap in between.
Let me see. Well, I'm just thinking maybe we'll look back here in the comments and see if there's anything.
Oh, yes. Excellent. We got some of the regular faces. See Mindy Donham out there. How's it going, comrade?
Two sides of the capitalist coin: hiring people from outside and moving the jobs to another locale. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Jules made a great comment about how the whole pandemic thing really put the squeeze on the petroleum industry. Just people not driving and, you know, not using as much petroleum products. You know, that's kind of their business, is sell oil.
Yep.
Indeed.
Cool. So you want to pull up this article and laugh at laugh
I'd
at
love
the
to.
corporation's attempt to
Which one is this?
This is
does it start with Claudio Igaramo? Yes. Okay, gotcha.
I'll just go through it really quick. I get a kick out of it. I think it's really interesting to see kind of the way that they you know, weave their webs, kind of thing. Right?
Propaganda in real time. Huh?
Yep, absolutely. So he says, we value our connection with the Lima community and want to correct some inaccuracies in recent media and social media about our company and staffing plans for our maintenance turnaround this fall at what is now Cenovus Lima Refinery. Cenovus is a Canadian integrated energy, blah, 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 company committed to developing and processing oil and natural gas resources in a safe and responsible manner. Following Cenovus's combination earlier this year with Husky Energy, the Lima Refinery became a core Cenovus asset and an important part of our long-term integration strategy. The refinery has been operating in Lima for 135 years, and we respect the generations of families who have supported us over this tremendous history. We're proud to be a top regional employer, providing jobs for 450 people, about half of whom are union represented. And together with our communities, we make $600,000 in community investments annually. Concerns have been expressed about the contracts awarded for the fall turnaround, so I would like to put some of important facts on the record. Turnaround contracts were awarded last year before Cenovus and Husky combined. Now, this is kind of interesting. So it says it's following a competitive process. This work is specialized and typically largely done by people from outside the area, regardless of who reads the contract. And what's interesting to me is that sounds pretty contradictory to what we've been hearing. That this is something that, you know, there's a lot of work that goes into this, a lot of specialized work, and that it you know, it sounds like this is it's uncommon for this not to be. I mean, if nothing else, it's uncommon for it to be coming from somewhere else. You know what I mean? So it seems pretty strange to me that that's what he's saying here. I don't expect him to be completely upfront, but that sounds directly contradictory.
I mean, come on, look at this guy. He looks like the kind of dude that would steal your grandma's purse and run away with it. Ugh, these people are gross. Whatever.
Oh, Claudio.
Yep. But
Cenovus and Lima Refinery have productive relationships with union representative workforces, including our permanent operations and maintenance workforce and our embedded refinery maintenance contractor, which uses workers represented by the Lima building trades. It's really interesting to me because it's just trying to say that, oh no, we're good, like everything's good, all of these other, there are op-eds and a lot of people speaking out and all this kind of stuff. Oh, I gotta see. Yes. Jules says Saha 600K investment, but millions in profit, I bet, which is exactly right. Even the number, it's interesting the way that it's kind of portrayed here.
Yeah, they always say things like that, like, hey, we invested this much money or we created this many jobs. And it's like, well, how many good family supporting jobs did you create? How
Right.
many sustained, jobs that people can count on in the community for years to come did you create? And at the same time, you guys are like killing the environment, man. I mean, I guess that's what, propaganda is. It's like they're really trying hard to convince people that there's no problem. Everything's good.
Absolutely.
We treat our workers nice. We spend money on them. Look, $600,000.
Now, I have one question that I don't think I've heard anybody talk about, but maybe you have. So I'm curious. I mean, so we went over kind of what is the process, right? What is the process for all of this? Oh, Roxanne, thank you so much. So we went over kind of what is the process. This is something that happens annually. This is taking out, literally, it was described to me, taking out machinery, making sure that it's running, functioning properly, doing the annual maintenance and then putting it back in there. Right. So, and I think I heard anywhere from 6 to 10 weeks that could take. And I'm just curious, and I don't think I've heard, what happens in the meantime, during that 6 to 10 weeks where it's shut down? So people's normal jobs, they wouldn't be doing their normal jobs, right? Because the refinery would be shut down, so it wouldn't be functioning at that time. So are people paid in the meantime? Even if if it's someone else, are they paid for their regular wages during that time for 6 to 10 weeks?
Again, I might be wrong. I thought the deal was that this was like a lot of the workers that were doing this, like the people that worked in there. And I know that they had the specialists and whatnot, but I think the deal is that a lot of the refinery workers, yeah. And Jules just let us know they shut down some units, not all. So apparently wasn't a complete shutdown, but yeah, I mean, and from what I understand, that's one of the big beefs is that they could be, having this work and overtime available for the people in the community, the regulars, but again, likely to save a few bucks. The companies, trying to undercut and, outsource, which is nothing new with these companies. But yeah, absolutely, Jules. Refineries are big, like small towns themselves. It's kind of like the auto industry in Detroit and whatnot, when they build an economy around certain businesses and then the company decides it's a good business decision for the shareholders and executives to move it to, Indonesia or wherever. It just leaves these communities like a wake of just recession and unemployment and poverty and and again, they're left to fend for themselves. We don't have a strong public safety net set up by our federal government.
And thinking about, I mean, especially with this one, this is 135 years. He's talking about, these generational jobs, that there are all these people, it's a town built around it in a way. So Catherine Class says, oh, never mind.
We are back.
Hey, Sarah.
Good afternoon. We're back in Lima. I'm standing here with another member of the Lima Buildings Trade. Would you please introduce yourself?
Hi, my name's Tim Timmons. I'm the business manager of the Boilermakers Local 85.
Hi, Tim. And so today, what have you been doing about the job situation here at the refinery? What has been your focus?
Well, our focus is on to tell them that we have the safest, most skilled trade workforce out here. And that's here in Lima. We've been maintaining this refinery for decades, and there's no other reason to go looking for somebody else to do this work.
Talking about taking care of the refinery for decades. What can you say to folks out there about your workers, about your members, about the folks who are currently working the refinery compared to those that they want to bring in?
Well, we have the safest workforce out there. In 2019, I went to the ZISA, which is the Zero Injury Safety Awards Gala, held in Washington, D.C. for the NMAPC committees. And during that, I represented the Lima building trades collecting the awards. And the building trades won many for millions of man hours safely done. So we know what we're doing. We know how to do it safely.
So what is the importance of today? What is the importance of the statement today?
To show them that they make these decisions, but they don't realize how they affect the community here. We're talking 3,000 jobs here. Personally, my family will not be able to work this fall because they work these refinery outages. That's what we do.
Thank you so much for your time today, Tim. I'll let you get back to the demonstration. Just appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Back to the studio with John and Jody.
All right. We are back. And it looks like we are going to have an interview coming up with Sharetta Smith. And okay, so until we get to that, why not look through the comments and see who we've got here?
Yeah.
And Rob told me I'm muted. Been nice if I'd have known that 3 minutes ago, Rob. Thanks for nothing.
I can hear you.
No, I was muted before. I mute out while Sarah is on the ground reporting.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. Okay. So Sharetta Smith for mayor?
Oh, actually, we're getting an update. It is David Cox is going to be our next interview. Oh, crap. And he is here. There we are.
Back here in Lima with another member of the Lima's building trade. Can you please introduce yourself?
Yeah, my name's Dave Cox, and I'm the business agent for the ironworkers.
And Dave, what does this mean for you today? What are your thoughts about what's happening today?
Well, I tell you what, it's great to see all this solidarity, all these different building trades members coming together, fighting to preserve their way of making a living up here in Lima, Ohio.
And what does Lima mean to you? What does the community mean to you and your family?
Well, I tell you what, I've got a whole lot of members that live up in this area and have been working on maintaining and building this facility for 3-4 generations, some families, and it's very significant for them. And we're fighting for their right to continue to do work in this facility like they have for almost a century.
So what do you say to Cenovus about the workers that they're attempting to bring in on this next contract? What's your message for them?
Well, I tell you what, we've got very talented men and women up here in the Lima area that have been working on this facility for, like I said, generations. And you're really missing the boat by not employing them. They know every nut and bolt in this facility, and bringing in a bunch of strangers from completely across the country. I think you're really doing yourself and Lima, Ohio, and the Lima Refinery a disservice.
Thank you so much for joining us today, David. Appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Back to the studio with Jody and John.
All right. Thanks a lot, Sarah. Great job.
Yeah, this is great. I love what he's saying about solidarity. Same thing for me. I mean, watching this and talking to different people from different trades all coming together. I mean, that's what it's about.
That's what it's going to take. I mean, you know, they want us divided, not united, because that's it. That is, death for capitalism at that point. If the workers realized their real power and organized it. But I digress. Okay. So anyhow, it looks like, I believe coming up soon is going to be that the mayoral candidate you mentioned.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm trying to find when the election is that she's running for.
Yeah, it always helps to have those labor-friendly local politicians in. Let's see. 5:10 is mayor. We're trying to find some folks. Okay. So 5:10 will be mayor, so that'll be in about 20 minutes. And Sarah will be coming to us with some interviews on the ground momentarily. And let's see here.
Okay, so she's presently the chief of staff in the office of mayor. At least that's what it says on her LinkedIn profile.
Okay.
All right.
Oh. All right. I don't think she's quite ready for us yet.
Yeah.
I was wondering, can we get a show of hands in the YouTube comments of anybody who's in favor of right to work legislation in their state, please? I don't see any. Tough crowd.
Yeah, well, when you start talking about right to work, you're gonna have a tough crowd.
Yeah, that's clever how they do that. You know, the right to work, and it's
right
like the opposite.
Yeah,
it's the right to exploit workers.
They just let me see. It was something in New Hampshire I just got a notification for earlier, talking about people yeah, talking about setting a limit of, I want to say it was $3.30 something for for people who work in the, for wait staff and things like that, even if the federal minimum wage goes up for tipped workers. Thanks. I'm going, what is wrong with people? Like, what is wrong with people? It's absolutely insane to me. And I tended bar. I remember exactly what I made, because it was like $2.13, and then of course you depend on the tips after that. And it's absolutely insane. You have a slow week and what, you can't pay your rent. Anyway, side tangent. Don't mind me.
No, you're absolutely right. And I think they like to try to convince the public that these tipped workers are taking home, piles of cash every night.
Right.
Like, they don't even need the wages. If you do a good job, you can take home a lot of tips. And but it's funny because wages are so low that people have less money to tip at these restaurants.
Right.
And it's like, no,
right?
You're doing it wrong.
And you feel so guilty if you don't, because that they're not making that they're depending on those to live. So it's kind of this I don't know.
Yeah, man, it's the capitalists have created the perfect storm to keep us in chains. But
perfect storm for them.
Right. No, but again, like this action going on here, and I know I mentioned it before, all those, the more pictures I see of the signs on the fast food places saying nobody wants to work anymore, right. Everybody quit. It gives me hope, man, that people are starting to get it. They're starting to realize that, hey, wait a minute, I do all the work. Why is this guy getting all the money? I don't understand that.
Right. And I think, actually, just to bring it back to what you were talking about earlier, and you were saying, they convince us that we have to earn a certain I love it. We're supplementing capitalism. You're absolutely right. And also John Cowell's right to work for less. You're absolutely right. But it's interesting when they talk about what you were talking about is kind of oh God, now I lost my train of thought. About, convincing you that you need to deserve a certain amount, which is basically just deserving the basics of life. I always come back to that Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Classic, right? But you just need these are the very basics. And so my question is to flip it on its head and say, what what makes people not deserve to be able to put food on the table? What makes what qualifies in your mind someone not deserving to have a home, to be able to pay the bill, like just to have like those very basic things? Because I can't think of a single thing that would make me think, well, you deserve to be, to struggle, that you deserve to, to not be able to, whatever, to be able to pay the bills and just cover the basics of life. I can't imagine what is what I would think qualifies you to not deserve that. I don't know, I'm not putting it the right way, but you know what I'm saying.
No, you're right. It's we're told it's a meritocracy, and if you work hard, you'll be fine. If you're lazy, like these poor people living on the street, then you're going to have a hard time or something. And we've just learned to accept it rather than, hey, we produce enough food, we have enough housing, we've got enough medicine, we can, we've got enough schools, we can make sure everybody has the basic material needs. And then we can go from there and decide who deserves the extra benefits or whatever, I guess. And
right.
It's crazy though, because you talk to a lot of right wingers, and I'm talking, ignorant right-wing voter types, mostly older whitish people, and their answer to everything is get a job, improve yourself, work harder, get a skill. And I think there's a window of opportunity there with like something like a federal job guarantee, saying, okay, we're going to set up this job program, everybody can get a job, but we can pay them whatever, $1,000 a week to work 20 hours improving their community. Maybe that's our way to get these guys on board. Who knows?
Sorry, I don't want to cut you off, but I see in our private chat that Sarah can cut in with an update about the mayor candidate timeline. So Sarah, whenever you want to, we're ready.
Yep, you're on.
Hi, we're back on the streets here in Lima inside of the refinery, and there's just a hubbub of activity down the street. We've got folks from all different trades, tons of cars coming by, beeping their horns, blowing whistles, just showing general support for what's happening here in Lima. Just wanted to update you. We have some more folks that we're going to be interviewing here shortly as they join us. Thanks again for covering this event today, and back to the studio with John and Jody.
That's great. Thank you so much, Sarah.
Awesome. Yeah, thanks for being down there and covering this. It's I don't see the CNN van,
I know,
MSNBC like crew anywhere in the area. So I mean, somebody's got to do it. Yep. Sarah's down there killing it. Awesome.
Yeah, and with that in mind, guys, share. Because this is, share the stream, share information about it, share the petition. They need as much support as they can possibly get, and clearly the mainstream media is not going to, provide for that. They're not going to facilitate it.
No, you look at like a lot of those, like during the time I think Obama was president and the teachers strikes. I remember it happened here in Wisconsin, and they don't cover it. They don't, and there are other ones too, to where teachers are striking and they're winning, and the media they're real silent about it. They don't want people getting any funny ideas, and it's kind of a microcosm of if you look at the way our history is taught in schools. They don't teach it in a way that you can critically think, and it's like they don't want people getting funny ideas. That when we band together and combine our energies and organize, that we can win some of these fights.
And like you said earlier, I mean, survival mode. This is what happens when people are just, if you're really struggling to just put food on the table and keep the lights on and things like that. And I think people are, especially after after COVID and all that kind of stuff, people are even in more of a, we know that this has been a trend over the last 40 years, essentially, right? Where the productivity has gone up, but people's wages have stayed stagnant. I think the last time I saw an update, it's, what is it? citizens something, public citizen or something like that, that you know, they'll say it's Friday, so I'm just going to take this opportunity to let you know that, you know, the minimum wage, if it is state, you know, or the average wage or whatever, I think at the last time I saw it, it was like $23 an hour. So we know that this has been happening in the background for all this time, but unfortunately, why am I blanking on her name right now? The basically disaster capitalism. Who am I thinking of? Naomi Klein. What is her book? I can't think of it right now. Anyway, but you know, whatever ideas you have laying around, right? So when a catastrophe strikes, right? And people are trying to put things back together. What are the ideas that you have lying around, right? And so what happens is the capitalists have plenty of ideas laying around and they will take advantage of it. Now, in the meantime, we got some great ideas. We see this, you know, catastrophe happening and we think, well, this is a great idea to bring up Medicare for all, because we're seeing exactly the detriment of it being shock doctrine. Thank you. You know, this is the perfect illustration of why we need this. We see the need, and then what happens? They just say, "Oh yeah, we're gonna give more access to Cobra," or you know, whatever it is. These other silly ideas instead of you know, bringing out the ones that the people do. So it really takes a huge uprising for us to be able to capitalize on those moments. It's kind of funny to use that word right now.
I see what you did there. Very clever.
But it's true. We need to have our ideas laying around, and we need to, you know, in those moments, we need to be able to. Yes, thank you, Dee. I know it's funny because the book is probably 5 feet from me. I've been 3/4 of the way through it for about 6 months now. I couldn't think of it.
No, I agree completely, and that's the great thing about understanding macroeconomics and MMT is that really we're just limited by our imagination, you know, and the kind of stuff we can do. You know, it's not like a money thing, or it's just how big do we want to go? How much do we want to do? And you know, right now our legislative bodies have been captured by private capital that don't want to do anything. So, it's rough.
Absolutely. I think also, you know, the kind of important thing to do here, or, you know, to clarify is, or at least what, you know, is really clarified in my mind, is the idea that, you know, what we're talking about here is we're talking about a local economy where it does very much depend on what's coming in and you know, this kind of budget mentality. And of course, what we try to clarify with Real Progressives is that that's not the way the federal government works. And so when we see, especially communities like this that have been built up against, you know, built up around an industry that, you know, we know it's not going to last forever. And, you know, that it's dependent on something that, like I said, the priorities are not with the people. The priorities are with profit, right? So it's profit over people. Whereas the federal government can come in and do a federal jobs guarantee, and then they would be able to kind of mitigate the damage of what happens with these capitalists when they decide they want to up and leave or outsource their employment and things like that. You know, this is kind of setting us on an even playing field, which is generally security. You know, this is the security of knowing that, of not having to worry about losing these things at the whim of a corporation that sees money elsewhere.
Well, yeah, but again, man, that keeps the workers in line when they're, you know, a paycheck away from financial ruin. They're not going to tell the boss to go fuck themselves. Oh, can I say that? It's a family show, but
for shame.
You know, that's the way they like it. You know,
Oh, here we go. We have 2 young ladies whose families work in the refinery. Back to you, Sarah.
Hi, we're back out here in front of the Lima Refinery. We're joined by some ladies that are going to introduce themselves and let us know why they're here today. Hi, ladies.
Hi, my name is Alyssa, and this is my sister, Sydney. I'm Sydney.
Hi, and why are you guys out here today?
We came out to show some support for our grandpa who's in the UAW. So we're here to demand our jobs and keep it local. Definitely want to keep it in our community.
What does it mean to you having the Lima Refinery around for 136 years that they want to come in here and outsource these jobs?
It means that they're looking to make more money. They're not looking to help our community, like they're really trying to take away our jobs and destroy our community just to benefit themselves. It's not right. Rather than our people who've been here and who want the jobs.
I know with this community, 3,000 jobs in Allen County, I think there's 100,000 residents. So that's a lot of folks without jobs. So what would you guys say to Cenovus as grandchildren of a proud union member? What would you say to them?
Well, my grandpa's out here retired. He's out here doing this thing. So we're all with him, and we would like our people to have our jobs back and keep it local. Yeah, we want to tell them that they really need to stop this and help benefit the community here.
This is our community.
Right.
Thank you, ladies, so much. We'll let you get back to the demonstration.
Thank you.
Back to you, John and Jody.
Hell,
I love it. I love it.
gotta get them started young, man.
Yeah,
that's beautiful.
absolutely. And that's a beautiful thing. Let's talk about that. I mean, passing it down. We talk about these generational jobs and being passed down to whatever, but this mentality, you know what I mean? This understanding of unionization and collective bargaining and needing to come together for those things. And not only have they been brought up with that, but they understand what the impact is in their community, so yeah, that's good to see. That makes me happy.
Yeah, it's got to be concerning to the capitalist class as they see these kids getting informed and calling out their BS at a young age. It's like, oh God, I love it, man. It is good to see. The kids are all right.
Though. I mean, yeah, the kids are all right. But I mean, you got to figure, I don't think I'm that old, but but this next generation coming up, man, looking at the cost of secondary education, looking at, people not being able to afford a 2-bedroom apartment anywhere in the country on the wages, all this stuff, dude, they're getting screwed and they know it. They know why, it's just, you can't hide it. You can't hide it. People are experiencing it and they understand. The only thing, this comes down to passing it on to the next generation. The only thing that they don't understand is how good it was, right? They haven't experienced how, and of course we can pick that apart. It's not necessarily that everything was just roses, but having experienced what it was like to actually, this kind of classic idea of the American dream, right? Being able to provide, a good life for your family. I always think of like the white picket fence, like that kind of thing. I picture this kind of suburban family, that kind of thing, whatever. Maybe take a week off and take a little family vacation every year and things like that. People don't even understand what that's like anymore. People just don't, it's not even part of their mentality,
Yeah. Wow. They call it the American dream because you have to be asleep to think that it can happen to you at this point. I mean, and you're absolutely right. Kids are starting to see their family, like their parents, more and more, especially with like COVID, having these hardships and, worrying about how am I going to pay for college and, really starting to see these impacts at a young age that I don't know if I really saw when I was, 60 years ago when I was a teenager. But it's like, they're, I don't know. It's inspiring. We have a group here of younger folks in the RP organization called the MM Teens. And these guys are like macroeconomic literate teenagers. And I can't say on this live stream what I was thinking about when I was 17, 18 years old, but these dudes are like, or comrades, I should say, because there are many different stripes in there. And they're taking this stuff seriously and taking our planet's health and our economic health and understanding the real of how things work and getting out there and screaming it to the rooftops. Like, hey, our planet's on fire. We're the ones that are going to have to live with this. So get it together, old people, or we will.
Absolutely.
So I had heard earlier that we were going to have Sharetta Smith coming up soon. I'm not sure if we have some more interviews before then. We'll wait for some updates.
Well, let me see. There's something in the private chat that I haven't seen yet. Nan Whaley. Not sure. Let me see if I can find that.
I was going to let you call that name out. I didn't want to butcher it. Nice job. I think you got her.
Hopefully I did it all right. Let me see if I can find out some info about that person. And
excellent. So while we're waiting, it's like we have a mom rad comment in the chat.
Mom.
It's so easy to believe we need to fix the system, but the system is behaving exactly as it's meant to.
Yep.
Wiser
Absolutely
words
right.
have never been spoken.
Yep.
Man, she's great. She is. So wise.
So Nan Whaley is the mayor of Dayton, and she is running for Ohio governor in 2022.
Nice.
All right.
Trivia question. Do you know who Ohio's current governor is?
Oh, it's
No Google.
no fair. Oh, what is his name? You know what? It's funny because I probably would have no idea. I wouldn't even be able to picture the face or think that there was any chance of remembering, except for these COVID updates, which I watched for like every state for a year. Oh, what is? It's never going to come.
Trick. It's a trick question. I didn't know either, so I'll look it up quick.
I know. Right now, I need to know. It's going to drive me crazy though, because I'll hear it and I'll be like, I should have thought of that.
Yay. Mike DeWine.
Oh,
Mike DeWine. Never heard of him.
Well, when you go down the I got pretty lost in the pandemic, just kind of looking for every little piece of information and watching whatever officials were doing in different states and all this kind of stuff. I did get a little nuts with that in that time. So I got to know some governors. Apparently that's what the result was. Nice. I guess.
Nice. I grew a beard and long hair, so we were all doing stuff. We're all doing stuff.
All doing stuff.
Alrighty. Oh my Lord.
All right. So Nan should be coming, I guess I should say Mayor Whaley. That would be probably more appropriate.
So she's the current mayor, you said, that's running for governor?
She's the mayor of Dayton, Ohio.
Mayor of Dayton.
And then she's running, and yes, she's running for governor. But that's in 2000. That election is in 2022, so a little ways.
Next year. Well, they start campaigning.
Not that far off, really.
Right now, actually.
Yep. Coming right up. So that's good. I mean, that's good to know that she's she's coming here and she's standing in support coming in support of the unions here.
Absolutely.
That's really good.
Lord knows the employers have plenty of politicians on their side. It's nice to see some labor-friendly folks out there.
Yeah.
Hopefully after they get elected, they don't abandon the ideas and things they campaigned on.
Yeah.
Which is something that happens far too often in our comical political process.
Well, these are the kind of things, especially if you're on the campaign trail, of course you're going to want to, go and be a part of that in one way or another. But, these are the kind of things where, hopefully, these things that they promise they can be held accountable for if they are elected and things like that, or at least reminded of.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's, at least it shows there's maybe, even if it is just a campaign photo op or something, at least to some point there's power in showing you stand with labor. So it's a start.
Yeah. I mean, it can be very mutually beneficial as well. Right. So it's probably good for her running for governor and things like that. But it's also, good for the union workers over here getting, some more eyes on it. I know, some things will not get coverage unless someone who is like a high profile, candidate or politician or something like that shows up. So hopefully the idea that she's there, and what was her name? Sharetta Smith, who's also, she's involved in Lima's local government and running for mayor. So the fact that these people are showing up, at least, gives a little more, it makes it a little more likely that mainstream media will pay attention to it. So,
yeah. And I mean, again, we got to keep the pressure on them. Not that I have a lot of faith in electoral politics at this point, but
right.
I mean, it's, that's kind of the thing that Democrats have always kind of counted on the union vote and the worker vote, similar to the way the Republicans always count on the hardcore truck driving, fiscal conservative kind of their base. And over the years, I mean, and I think it started with Bill Clinton, really selling out the Democratic Party to the donors. But it's really, the workers have really started realizing that the Democrats don't represent them either. So it's, I know it's tough. On one hand, you want somebody in the political spectrum with some kind of power, locally or otherwise, to be labor friendly, but sometimes it seems they just, the Democrats feel like they're entitled to the union vote or something because they're maybe slightly better on labor issues than the Republicans are, I guess. And it's disappointing, I guess.
Yeah. Yep. Absolutely.
Oh, let's see. We got Rosie coming in, dropping some big name dropper. So we're going to mention, that's right. I remember now in the docuseries from Patrick Lavelle and Eric Vaughn, The Con, one of the players in that was Mark Dan, who was the Ohio Attorney General. And he was a real, I guess, linchpin of the investigation, and the guy really calling the shots and, approving all the moves and whatnot to prosecute these guys that were committing this, basically fraud. So, big shout out to him. He's one of those straight shooters that we need more of in those regulatory positions. So these, corrupt capitalists have a little bit of a harder time stealing from us anyways. All right. Looks like in just momentarily, we're going to be heading back down to the ground in Ohio to talk to Sarah. And
sounds good. It's too bad. I kind of wish we had that queued up from the Untouchables. You guys got to go watch it now.
Oh man.
If you haven't yet.
If we'd have been thinking. But yeah, that's actually, I believe there's a new episode coming this Sunday, you guys. And if you haven't, what is it going to be? Maybe episode 5 of the second season. And if you haven't seen the rest of them, go to our website, realprogressives.org, and check them out. It is interesting stuff and infuriating at the same time. The first series of the new Untouchables really focused on some of the inside guys, the regulators, and the people inside seeing this stuff unravel and prosecuting it. But the second season more focuses on the victims, and really trying to spotlight that idea that, hey, this isn't just some bankers stealing some money on a spreadsheet. They're ruining people's lives and, taking their homes and causing real pain. Oh, I think we're about to go back down to Lima with Sarah.
Yeah, real quick, just so people know, Rosie did say that one that I think talks about Mark Dan is episode 2, just so you know. All right.
Hi, I'm back here at the Lima Refinery with the mayor of Dayton, Nan Whaley, which is Dayton is a city which is about 90 minutes from here. So, Nan, why is it important for you to be here today?
Well, look, what we're seeing today is jobs from the Lima community, and I'm friends with Mayor Berger and Sharetta Smith. Sharetta is doing great work here. We're seeing these jobs go away from our communities, and we want to make sure that Ohio workers are in Ohio jobs. It's plain and simple. And when that doesn't happen, the money leaves the community, doesn't stay to build our communities like Lima, and that's what's so important. And this is personal to me. I am the daughter and granddaughter of ironworkers and UAW workers, and You know, my dad's plant closed in 2009. It's tough for our community. It's tough for families. And we know what happens when those jobs leave our communities. And that is why we're here fighting. We want them to change their minds about bringing these jobs here and making sure Ohio workers get these jobs.
What does it tell you about Ohioans when you see all these people out here today driving by, honking their horns, blowing whistles, making noise, and just, you know, demonstrating on behalf of the entire community? What does that say to you?
Well, it tells me that Lima cares about who's inside this refinery and who's working in this refinery, and they want to make sure they're people from Lima and from Ohio, and that they know how important it is to Lima and to their community, because they're not working in there necessarily, but they know what that means to their community. And it's great to see the community support and get it right. For too long, people think that everybody's apathetic and that people won't care. And what the folks are doing here on the line and showing is that people do care and people will remember.
And as the demonstration is continuing, there's been just a swell of energy and good folks. You see them out here. And so, what would your message be to the folks out here today? What would you say to them?
Well, listen, I think it's really important to support the building trades that are doing this great work, and Leonis is doing this great work, to talk and reach out and put on social media, put on your social media. Like, we want Ohio workers for Ohio jobs. Like, stop Lima Refinery from doing this. They pay attention to when people speak out. Regular folks have a strong voice when we come together and speak out against this kind of action.
Thank you so much, Nan, for your time today. We appreciate you showing up. Back to the studio with John and Jody.
All right. Thanks,
There
Sarah.
you go. The other J&J, the nice ones.
That's right.
The good ones. Yeah, that's great to see her coming out and lending her support. Absolutely. She's got it just right. I mean, you know, she's saying all the right things. So.
Yep, it'd just be nice if when they get into power with the ability to do those nice things,
Right.
they actually do them. And I know I have not been elected to public office, and I'm sure they don't just let you come in and start barking orders and taking what you want, but we need representatives with more spine to stand up to their donors. And the problem is, like with the Democrats, it's not that they don't have spine, it's that they use it to stand up to us.
Right. Right. Exactly. They get fine when it comes to standing up for the corporations, for the.
Oh yeah. They defend their honor very strong.
Yeah. Absolutely. And I I me, my big thing is getting money out of politics. That's kind of because I feel like it's a fundamental issue. I mean, regardless, you can't trust people who are being funded by corporations and by industry. How can you trust that they're going to make decisions on behalf of the people? And we see it over and over and over again. The correlation between the decisions that they make and what the elite that funds their campaigns does, what they want and what's in their interest, so absolutely.
Yeah.
Fundamental.
Yeah. I mean, it's almost ridiculous to think that they're not going to do exactly what the people giving them the big checks are telling them to do.
Of course.
That money comes with strings, man.
Yeah. Well, it's funny. You saw, what was it? I don't remember what company it was. I think it was an oil company that there was, they recorded a conversation with one of their lobbyists, and they're talking about how they meet with Joe Manchin like on a weekly basis. Can you imagine going and getting an appointment with Joe Manchin? I have gone to speak with my legislators in DC and in here, around here very, very often. Now, my local state reps that represent 3,500 people. New Hampshire has the largest state legislature in the country, and I think third largest in the world. So anyway, so it's easy for me to meet with my local representatives. But when it comes to going to DC to meet with them, I can't get an appointment with them. If I'm lucky, I get an appointment with their staff, and that's great. And sometimes it's just in the hallway for a couple of minutes, but whatever it is. But I can't get a meeting with an actual legislator. That doesn't happen. But these guys meet with Manchin on a regular basis. I mean,
yeah, the craziest thing about it is it's like the whole electoral process. If you have someone who goes in there with good intentions and integrity and whatnot, it's at some point in the election process, the donors come to them and say, hey, here's a check, just pick up the phone when we ask, yada yada. And then it's like, if that person with integrity and good intentions says no, we're not doing that, then the donor says, well, I'm going to give it to your opponent then. And then they're crushed in the primary by money. And that's our political process working as designed. You know,
Yeah,
you're absolutely right.
It's right that you were saying it's perfect that you were saying that as well, because that was going to be my next comment. Is this is so much what we talk about, what the system is, and this is what the system produces. You know, we don't, it's not a natural phenomenon. You know, it's we design a system, and if the output is wrong, then we need to go back to the system and say why is it producing this? You know what I mean? So in so many situations, and very much in the funding of our campaigns, clearly that's what is going to be the result of the system that we've designed.
Yeah, almost like there has to be a better way of organizing our economy than just like letting a couple rich people decide how our resources are distributed.
Right.
Almost if there was another way.
Right. Well, I think
anyhow, I digress.
I can't help but thinking about, the fact that, of course, they're trashing the environment. I mean, everything is very much short term when it comes to short term thinking when it comes to corporations, because they're thinking about what is going to be their payout, what is going to be their bonus. They need to up their numbers so that they can have their bonus. And most of the people who are in those positions, CEOs and things like that, are in it for a short amount of time. So they're in it for 2-3 years, and they just, try to stack it up and, make as much money so that they can make their big money, and then they're out, so it's very much short-term thinking. But I can't help but think of, who was it? Was it Bezos who, after, his flight, was talking about, yes, it was, he was talking about how, we're just gonna, pollute space now, because we've just, we're gonna destroy Earth. So now we're just gonna pollute space. I mean, think about, just this, what is this thinking?
Isn't it?
Like, what is this logic? Where are you at, man?
That's rich people, man. It's like, we ruined this place. Let's get out of here.
It's like, apparently you went up to space and your body came back for 11 minutes, but your brain is just still up there. Like, I don't know what, it's so insane. Yeah, sure. Let's just pollute space now. That's cool. Awesome. That could not have any terrible ramifications. I'm sure that's, I don't know. Anyway.
Yep.
It's asinine, so it feels strange for me to even say it, right? But he said it, and he's like serious about it. It's crazy.
It is insane, man. But again, that's I just think like that billionaire mentality. It's like a disease, It's this idea that, I don't know, you don't live in reality. Just imagine that. Like,
right.
I mean, we don't need these rich assholes to pay for anything, but just on a whim, Bezos could wake up tomorrow and said, you know what? I don't want people sleeping on the street in a country I live in. That makes me sad. So I'm going to make sure that everybody gets housing. And he could do that by himself. Not that we need him to, but he could.
Right.
But he doesn't. He chooses instead to buy a third yacht and to build a rocket dick to go to space. And
seriously. And this is why, I mean, it's one thing for people to be wealthy. I don't really care about people who are wealthy. It's the fact that there's this extreme wealth over here and people are suffering. You know what I mean? That if people are suffering, there needs to be a baseline. There needs to be a baseline where people aren't suffering, because I don't care how much money you make. That's not what I value in life. What I want is, to be able to get by. That's all I want, whatever. But, people talk about wealth as if it's earned, when it's, it's clearly the system, puts money in certain people's pockets and not in others, benefits some people and not others. And then also, yeah.
Oh, we've got a live one coming in. Go ahead, Sarah. The floor is yours.
Back here at the Lima Refinery with one of the events organizers for today. Would you introduce yourself?
I'm Taft Mangus. I live right here in Lima, Ohio. I'm a 14-year LIUNA member. I'm an apprenticeship graduate and the proud father of 3 dogs.
Thanks, Taft. And organizing this event today, it's more than just today. Today is just one demonstration. What is the campaign, Ohio Jobs for Ohio Workers, and what does it mean to you?
It's just that. It's just that simple. It's not political at all. It means that we believe that we have the right for our jobs. We've been in this refinery for 135 years, and I want to see, my grandkids be able to have these good paying jobs with benefits and a decent retirement.
So what was the call to action? What was the event that happened that led to today?
The event that led to today was the refinery just not negotiating with us at all, not hearing our pleas. It's like a corporate behemoth. It's a nameless, faceless company. When you call the phone, you're not going to get any response or emails or anything from the people in this, in this headquarters here. They don't care about us. It's just some corporate order that they're following through on. They don't care about this community or its workers or its families.
And what are their plans? Their plans are to bring in workers from out of state. And then what do you think the impact is on the community when they start bringing in out of state workers?
It's going to have a ripple effect on everything from, the church baskets, the donation baskets, school funding is definitely going to be hurt because of those lost wages. Infrastructure. I mean, you're losing part of your tax base. It really has a ripple effect.
What does this say to you to see so many folks out here today, cars beeping their horn, whistling just to show support? What does that mean to you and what does that mean to the community?
Every time we do an event, we get a couple more people and a couple more people. And it led to today's event. I think there's about 100 people, probably close to 10 business managers and representatives. So we're going to keep going. We're not slowing down a bit. And we're going to keep growing this and growing it and growing it until they decide that they're going to listen to us, that it's worth us to have our jobs. It's worth it to them for us to be working instead of out here raising hell.
So the refinery, I talked to somebody earlier, and it's been around for 136 years. So what would it mean to see this, have 3,000 workers from out of state? What does that mean to you as a resident here, to your surrounding neighborhoods?
Well, it's not. So, I go to church in this community. I volunteer in this community. So I have to go out of town to work now. So I'm missing in action in this community. I do something, a couple times a week, go into meetings, supporting neighborhood associations and everything I can to build this community up to where it needs to be, where it used to be. So now I can't do that. And not that the people that are here taking my job have no interest at all in being a part of this community. None.
And how can people get involved, Taft? How can people show their support? Obviously by attending events like this, but what are other things and other ways they can get involved?
Find us on Facebook, Ohio Jobs for Ohio Workers. We have the locals page, Labor's Local 329 on Facebook. Sign our petition, come to an event, support the politicians that are supporting us. If you feel like you're being taken advantage of as a worker, join a union, build the movement.
Thank you so much, Taft. We'll let you get back to the demonstration and all your colleagues and community members, but we just appreciate you taking the time out to talk to us today.
Thank you, Sarah.
Back to you, John and Jody.
Thank you,
Awesome.
Sarah.
Thank you, Sarah.
This is great. I'm really enjoying all of these interviews and getting to see hear what people are going through, hear what people are fighting for.
Yeah, I think one of the toughest things being like a leftist, socialist, commie, whatever you are, is that there's a lot of times you probably feel like you're alone, and you're fighting a lot of these battles. We have so many of our comrades brainwashed into thinking that everything's fine. You just need to go work harder, or, you're just jealous that rich people are rich or something. But it's nice to see, people are starting to get it, and they're starting to, understand that the system's broken. And it's not just a matter of making some different personal choices, that we need to make the personal choice to organize, unite, activate, and fight back against this and change it to make it better, so our kids don't have to go through these same battles and fights like our ancestors did.
Absolutely. And I mean, this is what we're talking about, right? Kids who are growing up in a generation where it's very difficult to get by. I just want to call it out that in the chat, I think in both Facebook and in YouTube, there is a link to their Facebook page. Let me go back to it. And then also to the petition. So anyone who is watching this or whatever can contribute to that by signing the petition. If you're in Ohio, like he was just saying, Taft, I'm sorry, like Taft was just saying, If you can get there to go and support them, that's amazing. Share this, share this thread, go and support their Facebook, share their posts, things like that. I was looking through it earlier. They have, there's, this one I found here earlier that's talking about, they had a town hall, they hosted a town hall, and none of the people from the organization, from the corporation showed up. It's like, they're not even like he was, I can't remember exactly who said it earlier, but they're not even participating in negotiations at this point, so you can kind of see the evolution through these articles that I found, where it was like, we're hopeful that we can work something out, to now where they're not even showing up, they're not even participating in the conversation. So I guess they do meet every month. That's what Purdue is saying. But it doesn't seem like it's been very fruitful. So.
Okay, and real quick, we are going to kick it back to Sarah for us to wrap up. I guess we are done with the guest list for the day, and so we're going to wrap it up, and then we'll come back to the studio and do our little wrap up, and you guys can continue on with your Thursday. One sec.
Yeah, this has been great.
All right, Sarah, go ahead. It's all yours.
Hi, we're back at the Lima Refinery. Things are beginning to wind down. The demonstrators are beginning to leave. But what an incredible event. What an amazing show of support by a community. And I just want to say thank you to John and Jody for letting us be a part of that. My name is Sarah Geis. I'm with Down with the Dig, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you so much, Sarah. Wow, that was great. She's good at this, huh? That's awesome. All right. Well, like I said, any way that you can support, especially to see that they're not even showing up or that they're not negotiating and things like that. We need to have as many people who are supporting even just sharing things on Facebook. Very, very simple things can make a big difference.
Yeah.
It lets them know that people are paying attention. Yeah.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I'm telling you, I've been on several contract negotiating committees, and these companies, they don't want to negotiate. If they had their way, they would just say, this is how it is, and that's how we're doing it, because we own the means of production and we have the power. And but these pesky laws and things, and and a lot of times the laws aren't even really in the favor of labor. In fact, it's quite the opposite. A lot of labor boards in the states have been appointed by, paid off politicians. And, it's just a matter of almost getting creative sometimes with the way, like, for example, finding like the company that during a contract negotiation, finding like partner companies, like where maybe they get some of their supplies from, or some of where they get their distributors or whatever, and put the pressure on them, saying, hey, these guys are balking on our contract. They're saying they're not going to give us any money, and that's gonna cause problems for you, and we just want you to know about it, and try to put pressure on the companies in other ways, because really they don't want to negotiate. Right. We have to force them to negotiate to get anything. And it's gross, but that's where we're at right now in the labor movement. And these guys out here in Lima are really, putting their boots on the ground and, walking the walk with this stuff. And it's an inspiration. It's what we should all be doing.
Yep. Absolutely. And like you said, like we were talking about earlier, the leverage, the health coverage, and, all these kind of things. People are in a situation where it makes it much more difficult for them to rise up. So it's just amazing and really inspiring to see people standing up and in spite of that, and saying, this is what we deserve. I mean,
Absolutely, man. We do the work. We should reap the benefits of it. Why should I think people would be infuriated if they knew what CEOs did most of the time.
Right.
While we're busting our humps, producing all this surplus value and profit for these companies, we just compensate us fairly. We could probably go along with capitalism for a little bit if you didn't squeeze us to death to, have that infinite growth and pad your bottom line each quarter. But I digress. I've gone on a socialist rant. Sorry about that. But we are going to wrap it up here. So any final thoughts from you, Jody?
No, I mean, I guess I just think strong work, guys, and just support however you possibly can. That's really what my focus is on right now, is just to say, how can we help? How can we support them? And, these are our opportunities. The petition, share these things on social media, talk about it with people who you talk to, share the stream, of course. And, if you can, support Real Progressives, because, this is really what we want to be able to do. And we want to be able to do a lot more of this, right? We want to make sure that, that you guys know what's going on. And, money makes the world go round. So if you can support us, please do. And just to call out, thank you so much to Catherine Class, because
Catherine Class, man, she is like the super ultra mega donor. I love her. And it's donors like Catherine Class that allows us to put this stuff on without having to take ad money from Cenovus Oil Company or whatever. It's like we don't have to put their side of the story in here. It's like we can bring you the truth, because Catherine Class keeping the lights on. Cool. Awesome. Well, again, thanks everybody for showing up. Solidarity with the workers in Lima. That's Lima, Ohio. And I don't know. I guess until next time, I'm your boy Kami John, and this lady over here is Jody Newell, and we will see you next time. Adios, guys.